What do you get when a game that's only meant to have a 6-month life cycle ends up having demand for a 3, 4, 5-year life cycle? Well, you get rubbish maps and you get rubbish updates to maps and you get a lot of teething pains, which is what we've had with Warzone. So, though we are getting there, slowly but surely, after the Cold War integration, it is time for things to change. Obviously, the Season 6 map's going to change, and of course, we've got a new map coming as well. So what do I think of all this? In this video, I am going to let you know exactly all of that. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, let's talk about where Warzones come from to understand where we're going. Initially, we had the main map, Verdansk, the 2020 map, or some call it the 2019 map, and this was a decent map. It had a little bit of colour in it, you know, it had a fair bit of development, and it had very limited changes. And this is where we start, how often it's been updated. The map didn't really get any big updates until around Season 5, I believe it was. So quite late in. By significant changes, I mean like big changes to, like, you've got your underground, you have changes to stadium bunkers actually being activated. I wouldn't class the bunkers being activated as a big change, just because, you know, they were already there to begin with, so not actually any work being done into it. However, you know, it was still a change nonetheless. So yeah, these changes were always few and far between. They were made very sparingly, and you know that there weren't anything huge per se. That has changed though in recent times. We did get teased earlier this year with the map of Cold War, which we thought was going to be 1984 Verdansk. We thought it was going to be something really different, really unique, and you know, enough to keep us gripped on for the next year, until like the next big change would come about. And to be honest, it was basically just a reskin. It was a repaint, and we all know that, and that's kind of where it went. So what does this mean going forward then? Using all this data that we have, any changes that we've had like the asteroid bit, we had the occasional zombies bit, which is more of a game mode change, an actual gameplay change. So we are changing up the stadium again, which is the exact same change that did around Season 5, Season 6 last year. We're also going to be adding some bunkers in there as well. Oh, hang on. We did that Season 5, Season 6 last year as well. And fixing some of our lighting bits as well. The most significant change that's ever happened on that Warzone map was opening up Stadium, creating the train stations, which I actually thought was a really nice addition. And it's not called Skyhook, man, it's an Apex one, where the dam was, changing that into Summit. That was a really good change. I actually really dig that change. But we don't have that anymore. These changes are, you know, like, they were great, but they were very few and far between. And that is because of what I mentioned before, where the game's only really been built to the last 6 months. So the idea was with Warzone was to have it the same way that Blackout was. So that was essentially a game that came out and they knew it was only going to be around for the Black Ops 4's version of Call of Duty's era. So once the next game came out, which was Modern Warfare, scrap that map, start again. It was going to be the exact same way, the exact same plan, I feel, with the Warzone map. It was only meant to be for Modern Warfare's duration of the game. But because it blew up so well and so much, they've extended it. And because, you know, they weren't necessarily expecting it, the game's not being built with an expansion plan. It's kind of being ad hoc'd on there. And it does feel like that, especially now as time goes on. As time goes on, the game definitely feels as if it's starting to lag a bit behind. Apex has 3-4 maps now. I think it's 3, isn't it? 3? Yeah, 3. You've got, you know, PUBG has always had a really diverse map which changes regularly. You know, Fortnite, that always changes its map as well. Bit strange that COD doesn't. Meaningfully. A reskin doesn't count. You're not pulling that wool over my eyes, guys. So yeah, this is kind of, it just goes to show that that's the case. However, we are getting a new Warzone map. So what do I think of it if I don't like the updates because they feel slow and crap? I'm concerned. I really am. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the Pacific era. I love that time, that playing games in that time period. I don't know. There's just something about the feel and the vibe you get from the games that just makes it feel a bit different. You know, it's like bright, vibrant, full of life and foliage and all that stuff. But I didn't quite get that with Verdansk. Verdansk felt a bit old, dated, and outbeat. It always felt as if you were playing in a outdated, unrealistic battle arena, because, you know, who has random houses where you see them. So yeah, it feels a little bit fake for Verdansk, where it doesn't feel like a real life, vibrant place. It doesn't feel like a place that would actually ever exist. Whereas, you know, they did make that improvement with Rebirth Island. Rebirth Island does have that vibe. You've got that vibe with most of the Battlefield maps as well, of old. And then, of course, you know, it does feel as if the new Pacific map does have that advantage for it. It does actually feel like a semi-realistic map. Now, the problem with this is that Cold War did the exact same thing with their Fire Team Dirty Bomb maps. And they weren't that good. Now, I am excited for the new map. Don't get us wrong. I'm hoping it's going to be something different. So I'm just excited for that more than else. But I do feel as if the map, when you go into jungles and you go into like the Pacific like era, a lot of it is just foliage. So that is going to be a little bit of a problem to see how much we get through that, because if you remember on Dirty Bomb, it is literally people just camping in trees. It's just people camping in their green suits, prone, just shooting through trees at high ground. So you see a lot of it all the time, and I'm kind of scared that's going to be the way, because remember, these are the same players. Because when we played Dirty Bomb the first time in the Cold War beta, it was good. Everyone was running around all over the place, and it was high octane action on a big map, which is what we want Verdansk to be, really. We want it to be, we don't want campers all over the place. However, when the mainstream people actually did hit the game, first thing they were doing is just choosing 2 or 3 trees and just position themselves there, Betties, Claymores, and just being prone and just not moving. So when you did want to play an objective in Dirty Bomb, it was actually really easy, or you would just get killed by people in the trees camping the objective, because it was usually in a big sight line. So yeah, I am a little bit concerned about how this map's going to be played. Don't get us wrong, being camped in bushes may or may not be any better than getting camped from someone camping in a building. I think it might be a bit worse actually now I think of it, because if someone's going to be camping in trees, they can see multiple angles, whereas when they're in the building they can only see one corridor. So we're just basically, I'm scared that we're giving campers a bit more space, a few more angles than what they would otherwise deserve. Now, I know that there's an argument out there saying if you're sniping, you're not camping. That's how the game's meant to be played. Yeah, fair enough. I get that. I dig that. But at the same time, you know, you want the game to be action-packed, and you're not going to get that with just sniper fights all the time, because then you are playing Battlefield. Nothing wrong with that in Battlefield, but when you play Battlefield, you expect that in Battlefield. And then you can just counter that shit with a tank. You can't or jet. You can't really counter that when everyone's using the same weaponry. So yeah, that's just kind of how I feel about it. And then, of course, you could take out the tanks if you were an engineer or you had rockets or something where you have to be in their faces. So, you know, there has that balance of the game. So I'm more looking forward to Battlefield right now than the new Warzone. However, I still want to give it a go, and I still think it's going to be good. I just don't think it's going to be that diverse, if I'm being honest. And to be fair, Verdansk isn't either. Make no mistake. However, I just feel as if you're kind of limiting yourself a little bit just by going in the Pacific era. Don't get us wrong, it's going to be great, it's going to be different, and I think that difference is going to be good enough, and it's going to be better than Verdansk. However, I feel as if we're replacing one really bad map with one bad map. Better, yes, but does it justify it? We'll see. But guys, that is the end. If you do enjoy the video, make sure you hit that button below and let me know, and I'll be in touch in the next one. Peace!